I would present to entrepreneurs your business should do two things for you. It should make you a lot of money. That's true. That's why you're doing it. You're taking the risk and putting in the hard work. And you should be making money from your business. But it should also be satisfying in another way. And that is the business is serving some sense of purpose. And sense of purpose always has, satisfying sense of purposes always have about doing something good for the world.
Welcome to the Going North podcast, where you will be informed, encouraged, and empowered to embrace your dreams and advance in life through authorship. I'm your host, best-selling author of the book Stay the Course, and certified leadership trainer, Dom Brightman. Be sure to check out the goods and services from every guest, as well as the host himself, yours truly. Now let the fun begin. Today's episode is sponsored by book number 2 from Dominic Dom Brightman, Stay the Course, The Elite Performer's 7 Secret Keys to Sustainable Success. It is the field guide to help unleash the elite performer that is inside of you. Cop it today on Amazon.com or heading over to dombrightman.com and snag it in book, ebook, and audio book, so that way you can take it on the go and get yourself on the go to your northbound success. And today on the High Life Real Builder for Authors, known as GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, is the Going North podcast. And we got another super special, awesome human for you today, courtesy of the wonderful podmatch.com, folks. That's right, indeed. The site with the pods and the matches and the fire. Oh, that's right. They even have Smokey the Bear there, too. But we don't have Smokey the Bear today, though. We have a former officer in the Canadian Navy. That's right, folks. A former officer in the Canadian Navy. A serial entrepreneur. Business coach, a seasoned business coach with all sorts of wisdom, because he's one of Canada's first ever business coaches, as well as a grandfather as well. So let's give it up for the BB himself, the one and only Barry Braun. How you doing today, Barry?
I'm doing great, Don. Thanks so much for that great introduction. Yeah, glad to be here. It's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be fun on all the buns, indeed. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. So, my goodness, as you know, with all introductions, they're not allowed to be 74 days long, and I may be covered like 1% of what you actually do. So, mind filling us in on any cavities I may have missed about you?
Well, I think the most interesting one, at least from my perspective, is why I'm doing Happy Community Builders, why I've created Happy Community Builders. And it's because when I became a grandfather, as you mentioned, I was reflecting on my grandkids' future, and really the picture that was showing up there wasn't a pretty picture. So I decided I wanted to do something about that. And where that inquiry led me to was that communities are foundational for our well-being. They always have been, but in recent years, community has disintegrated to some degree, that we don't have the connections, the sense of belonging, the sense of responsibility to our community, that the confidence that someone in the community will care about us if something goes wrong for us, those sorts of things. And so what we've been doing is working to turn that around. So that's my passion project. That's what I really care about, is the future of my grandkids, and my way of caring about it is enabling communities to regain their sense of social connectedness and belonging and caring for each other.
Amen to that. Amen to that. And Rob, fun thing about it is the loneliness epidemic wasn't as big 10 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, compared to now, right?
Absolutely. Loneliness has gotten huge. Um, and that's partly because we've stopped knowing each other, the people around us. An interesting statistic for the United States is 75% of the people don't know their neighbor. Uh, uh, and if you don't know your neighbor, well, who are you going to turn to? I mean, you do have other friends and that sort of stuff, but the closest people that live around you are strangers to you. So who's going to notice when you are lonely? If it's not someone close by, who's going to knock on your door and say, "Hey, you want a cup of tea?"
That is true. Actually, that reminded me of this meme I saw. I think it was a couple years ago, like on some introvert Facebook group page. It was like, "Hey, like a good neighbor, stay over there."
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's kind of an attitude we've taken. Somewhere starting around 40 years or so ago, maybe a little bit more, we started this mythology that self-reliance is what all we need. If we can make enough money and buy ourselves out of whatever problems we face, we don't really need anybody. And on top of that, other people are scary. People we don't know could be dangerous to us. And so we've got these two things going for us. One is that we're afraid of each other. And the other thing that we got going for us is that, hey, I'm just supposed to be taking care of myself. It's all about me. And so that's what I'm concerned about. And that's not totally true for everybody, but it's true enough that our communities are suffering, and loneliness is one of the evidences of it.
Yeah, yeah, it's a shame, really, and definitely right about that. It's because it's like, yeah, self reliance is good. Like, hey, have some take some pride in yourself, but at the same time, like, hey, don't neglect being around your fellow human beings because we're better together. Like the best. That's really how you're really gonna get where you want to be in life a lot faster, and how you sustain what you have is by being around the right people and taking care of the people that you want to take care of, especially in your own community.
Yeah, for sure. So what I did to try and challenge that, or to make a difference in that, is I've created Happy Community Builders. And Happy Community Builders is where people who care about community, who want to do something about community, or are doing something about community, can join into a group of other people who have the same mindset, and play in a sandbox where they support each other and come up with new co-creation of ideas, and just support each other, because it's a hard slog for many people. Uh, Often our community development people, the people who are trying to make our communities better, are underappreciated by the other members of the community. They often get criticism instead of thank yous.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Gotta love the criticisms. You gotta love the haters out there. So my goodness. So with this wonderful project that you've built like over these years, and I believe you have what 10,000 members across 4 continents now, right?
Yeah, that's how many people are following us, and we've been able to do some really cool things, I think. At least I'm kind of proud of some of the things that have been happening. So one of the things that we've done is we've been able to create a process that actually really works, that helps change community story. So we all behave according to the stories that we hold. Most people get that, and as a community member, we march to the tune of our community story. So if our story is and nobody cares, everybody's divisive, then we tend to be part of that group, or whether we like it or not. And but if the story changes, that we look out for each other, we care about each other, we reach out to make sure we know people in our community know other people in our community, that sort of thing, then that's what happens in a community. And we've been able to transform communities quite dramatically by helping them change their community story. So that's one thing that's happened. And these community developers who've come together have come up with some really brilliant ideas about how to, particularly one is about bringing out loneliness, bringing out the lonely people, and having them find an easy way to get back into the community, and also make sure that people are looking out for them, that they're getting called upon, so that that they aren't lonely.
Uh,
I heard an interesting story recently. I was talking to one of our top politicians in Canada, and she was complaining that everywhere she goes, people are saying, you should this and you should that. And one of the stories that she was telling me is that in Vancouver last year we had a heat wave and 600 people died because of the heat
Ooh.
wave. And the citizens were rallying up and saying, the government should do something about this. The government should be checking on all these old people. That's impossible for a government to do. But how about the neighbor knocking on the door and seeing whether the person living next to him is okay or not, right? That's a much more better solution, a much more effective solution. Is just that, and yet we don't think it's our responsibility to knock on our neighbor's door to see that they're okay. So that's the challenge that we're taking on, is to change that, uh, and uh, and I'm quite proud of the progress that we're making in that, although it's only a very tiny dent that we've made because it's a huge, huge issue.
Hey, you're definitely right about that, because heck, yeah, the government walked up to, if I was an older person and the government walked up to my house, was like, "Hey, how you doing, buddy?" I'm like, "I'm doing okay. What y'all want with me?"
Exactly. 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 Wouldn't it be a lot better if somebody you recognized who lived near you walked up to you and asked you if you're okay, rather than a professional? We've come to this place where only professionals can fix problems, but that's not true.
Oh yeah, funny enough, when you just said that, it reminded me of some of your past interviews where apparently the professionals were either too lazy or not paying attention enough, and then some builders had to come in and help out, like with like moving snow and things like that, and then apparently the government got mad. How did that
Oh
begin?
yeah, you're talking about this story in Calgary where uh, Calgary gets a lot of snow, and they have these back alleys between houses, and the city hadn't been plowing out the back alley fast enough, and so one of the citizens that lived on the streets there was a contractor, and he had the equipment, so he just used his initiative and got his equipment out and plowed out the back alleys for a couple of blocks for his neighbors and himself. And the city called him up and said, "You're not allowed to do that. Put the snow back." Imagine.
My
Yeah. So this is crazy. I mean, the government thinks they want to be in charge of everything, but at the same time, it's really up to us to take care of ourselves, and we should be able to do responsible things for each other. So that's what the Happy Community Builders is about, is enabling people who are interested in their community to actually work together with other community builders to find better ways of actually engaging the citizenry around them, so that they actually know each other and look out for each other.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I heard that story, I was laughing, but I was so pissed at the same time. I'd be like, really? Like, I would ask, like, hey, how big is the fine I have to pay for this, man? Because that's asinine.
It is asinine. It's absolutely crazy. But I'm sure you've got lots of stories in the United States of bureaucrats demanding silly things out of good working citizens, good people, making them do really crazy things, right? And so that's one of the challenges that we're trying to take on, is changing the relationship between government and community, because government thinks they're in charge of everything, but they can't be in charge of your happiness, and your happiness is dependent upon, there's lots of research about that. Your happiness is dependent upon having people around you that you know and can trust and rely on, and the government can't do anything about that. Only we can do something about that. So one of the big projects for us is to change the relationship between government and community, so that citizens can actually take more responsibility and feel safe in doing it, feel comfortable in doing that, as opposed to running into some bureaucrat who says you're not allowed to be nice to somebody.
Yeah, because that's just crazy. That's just crazy indeed. So how's the
Yeah.
progress with that? I'm sure you had to probably make a bunch of PowerPoints and share a bunch of statistics of the communities that your organization's helped over the years? I'm sure it's been a long and uphill battle.
Well, it's been uphill for sure, but once we are involved with the community, the community really gets it really quick and grabs onto it because most people actually want to be part of community. They want to know their neighbors and they themselves are good people and want to care about other people, but they feel that they need permission to do that. And that lack of permission is because of how we've trained each other. So for example, we start off in kindergarten with stranger danger, right? And right, we're not supposed to, not supposed to trust anybody out there. Everybody could be a threat to us. And there's some truth in that, but the real truth is that most people out there, by far the majority of the people out there, are good people that we, if we got to know them, we'd like them.
That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. So, how's your background in being in the Canadian Navy and as well as being a business coach helped you out here with the Community Builders Project?
Well, it started off with leadership training, and that's what the Navy gave me. And I've been a student of human behavior for my whole life. Like, why do we do the things we do, and what can we do that enables people to do things differently? And so the entrepreneurial part of my life was kind of a sidestep to my real path, which is understanding human behavior, although that involves that as well. But that led me into coaching, and coaching is all about how do you change what people are doing? How do you enable people to change their own behavior to something more that they want to do? How do you get them out of their own way from what's keeping them from doing what they want to do? And my coaching career focused on entrepreneurs, and it focused in a particular kind of way. I would present to entrepreneurs, your business should do two things for you. It should make you a lot of money. That's true. That's why you're doing it. You're taking the risk and putting in the hard work. And you should be making money from your business. But it should also be satisfying in another way. And that is the business is serving some sense of purpose. And sense of purpose always has, satisfying sense of purposes always have about doing something good for the world, whether it's nature or people. It's about doing good for something other than yourself. That's where we get meaning in life. And so your business should support that as well. So what I was able to do is help entrepreneurs with that perspective, and it turned out that it became their competitive advantage because other businesses weren't doing that, and people like doing business with people with businesses that are doing good for others. And so that became their competitive advantage, and they did make a lot more money. So the other thing that I focused on was cultural change in organizations. How do you change the culture of a company so that the people are more satisfied with the work they're doing and become more productive uh, because they're living in a culture that's serving them as well. And and so those are the two focuses, and those two skills were fairly easily to translate over into how do you change a community to be a happier community.
Uh, that's what I'm talking about, indeed. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. And it makes perfect sense, too, especially like the whole cultural change and the leadership going together because they do belong together. And with a project like this, like it's definitely going to be needed. So, my goodness, like I'm sure in the early days there were some setbacks you had to deal with to where you are now, to where it's gotten so big and is growing. So, what are some of those setbacks you had to deal with in addition to? I'm sure the government was part of it too, but any others that pop out that you had to deal with to overcome?
Well, this is still true. In particular communities, there seems to be skepticism that what I'm saying could actually happen. So it's overcoming that skepticism. But with a little bit of experience, they see how true it is. So for actually transforming the culture of a community, what we do is enable citizens. We don't ourselves do anything because it's best if it comes from the citizens themselves. So we find concerned citizens, citizens who care, and enable them, coach them, train them on how to actually engage the rest of the community in creating projects where people can come together and do things together. And when they come together and do things together on a regular basis, they get to know each other. And it's not rocket science. It's pretty simple. When they come together on a regular basis, they get to know each other. And when they get to know each other, they start caring about each other, right? They start having concern for the welfare of each other. And that's how the community actually starts changing its mind from self-reliance and mind my own business and they should, and I don't have any responsibility in here other than live in my own place and mind my own business, to one where we look out for each other, we care about each other. So it's pretty simple process in theory. It's not so simple to actually make happen, and we've developed ways of actually making it work, because there's lots of ways that it can go sideways, and we have a particular process for making it sure it stays on track and goes in the right direction and achieves the goals that the community wants to build. So yeah, that's how we change culture, is through people doing projects together, getting to know each other, they end up developing a new story for their community. And in the process of developing a new story for the community, they start behaving differently with each other. And they do it naturally. There's nobody on the outside telling them, this is your story. Here's our rallying cry. This is what we're doing. It all comes from the inside of the community, and they just do it organically. And it's a beautiful thing to see when it happens.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful thing indeed when you definitely see it happen, because it's so true. And because hey, it's really just simple. It's just helping your fellow human being. That's really all it really is.
Yeah, it is, but it's a little bit more than just you doing it. It's we are doing it. There's a we-ness to this. So there's lots of good people out there who, I am doing this. I'm doing this for other people and that sort of stuff. But where the magic happens is when we do this. We as a collective community decide that we're going to be this way and do things this way. So that's where the magic is. It's not in the eye. The eye is good. I mean, it's really important. I'm not taking away from eyes. There's lots of people out there who are doing really good things on their own. But I love you, Dom. Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
my goodness. So since you've been on these podcasts recently, talk about the good work that the wonderful community builders are doing across the globe, is there a question that you wish you'd be asked more often when you're on these podcasts?
oh yeah, well, what the question is, what can I do? Right? That's the biggest question. And what my recommendation is that they try not to do, they don't do things alone, that they do form a collaborative we, where we are doing things. And one of the things that Happy Community Builders does is provides a place for doing that. So Happy Community Builders is a platform where community builders come and co-create ideas and support each other and share ideas with each other. Uh, and out of that, they themselves become more empowered, have greater skill level because they have access to other people's skill and knowledge. They're not trying to just do it on their own. And that's true whether they're already highly skilled professionals. We have people on there who are incredibly talented people who have deep experience, who are learning from other people who are sharing their expertise with each other. And that's how they're able to actually do more than what they were doing before. So that would be my advice, is find some place where you can collaborate with other people who are trying to do similar things, and learn from each other and support each other. And support each other is really important, because my experience is community builders are often underappreciated in the world. So hanging with people who understand that helps a lot because you get encouragement from each other as well as knowledge and skill.
There we go. That's right. That knowledge and skill, indeed. You're definitely right. Definitely to appreciate those who are really helping to build communities and really helping to keep things together. Like even bringing people together too, because that's a lot of effort indeed, especially nowadays in this wired generation that we're in.
Well, it is and it isn't. You just have to give people a good reason to come together. So one of the things that we teach people to do is how to create an inspiring story. When people are inspired, they show up. So one of the things that we share with people is how to inspire other people to show up, and with that inspiration, they do because people want to. They don't really want to live in their house alone. They don't really want to do that, but they don't know how to reach out to other people around them. Uh, Most people don't. Some people are really good at that, but most people don't. And so inspiring people to come together as a we so that we are going to change how we relate to each other, how we are going to support each other. Uh, Most people want that.
You can say that again, indeed. You can say that again, indeed. Heck, I feel like this episode should be called "Get Out the House." That's probably what it should be
Get out that. Well,
called.
sure. Let's give it that name. That's good. Good for me. Yeah.
Yes. But hey, it's something you're
Yeah.
doing, and heck, even want to give a shout out to one of your classic books, Build a Legacy That Matters. So, my goodness, my goodness. So, since you put pen to paper with that book, if that particular book was a food, what would it be and why?
Oh, what what particular food would it be? Gee, I don't know. It'd be very satiating. It'd be very satisfying food. It'd be a comfort food, I think. So whatever is in the comfort food for somebody. But I think it'd also be one of those kinds of foods that sparks the joy or the imagination. So a little bit of fruit and a little bit of pasta and a little bit of meat all mixed up together, maybe. I don't know.
uh, there you
Yeah.
go. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wrote the book "Build a Legacy" as that matters as as a business coach, and it's about how you can position your business so that it's satisfying that sense of purpose by doing something good for the world as well as for yourself and making money and that sort of thing. So that's what the purpose of the book was: build a legacy that matters. Yeah. And that's happy community builders is my latest version of building a legacy that matters for me because I'm trying to build a legacy for my grandkids. I really am concerned about the future for my grandkids and the rest of the young people out there in the world, and how they're going to have to deal with the future that we're creating for them. And so this I consider my legacy project as a way of helping mitigate the circumstances and enabling them to find more support while they deal with them.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, indeed. That's right, indeed. That wonderful legacy, indeed. So, speaking of youth, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive. And that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but you're still in 2022, what advice would you give to yourself?
Don't chase the money, chase your purpose. And purpose, a meaningful purpose, always involves supporting other people, doing something, being of service to other people. I think that's the advice that I would give is is the money will come, you'll always have enough. Uh, it might be scary, but it'll be at lot more satisfying life chasing service for others, chasing your sense of meaning for yourself, your sense of purpose for yourself, rather than chasing money.
Oh, yeah. That's right, indeed. The mighty P, y'all. That's right. That's right. The we
Yeah,
and the P, y'all. That's right. Chase that purpose. That's right.
yeah,
Find your we. That's right. Be
yeah,
a wonderful community. That's right,
yeah.
indeed.
And purpose always is, you can have the purpose of me becoming a super billionaire. You could be that, but the really satisfying senses of purposes. I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs, and what they tell me is that the most satisfying thing they do is actually volunteering to help other people, not their business. Their business isn't the satisfying thing. It's that they are helping other people. And so I'm why not just do that? Why not just make that your life?
Oh, yeah. That's right, indeed. Make it your life, y'all. That's right, indeed. Make it your life, indeed.
Yeah. Well, you're doing that in a way, you're in your own way here, Dom, with these podcasts. I mean, you're helping other people know things and get ideas and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's a service business that you have there. It's a service way of doing things. And thank you for doing it.
Oh, my pleasure indeed. My pleasure indeed. Love helping folks get their voices out, get their good stuff out there. Indeed. That's right, indeed. Especially when it involves pen to paper.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right, indeed. So for those who need to
awesome.
keep Oh, yes, indeed. So, for those who need to keep in contact with you and all the stuff that you're doing, heck, maybe even check out the Happy Community Builders, maybe start their own happy community where they are. What's the best way for folks to keep up with the journey and find out more?
Sure. Well, happycommunitybuilders.com is the simplest way. And I'm on LinkedIn as Barry Braun. Braun is like the razor, Braun. And we're also on Facebook, Happy Community. Well, it's called Happy Community Project on Facebook. So it's a slightly different version on Facebook, Happy Community Project. So those would be the easiest ways for people to reach out. So, but happycommunitybuilders.com, simplest way. Be there, be part of it, be part of the people who are making our communities a better community.
Heck yeah, can say that again. Definitely a better community indeed. So, you heard that right, folks. Head over to happycommunitybuilders.com. We're going to put a link to that wonderful site in the show notes and all of other Barry's wonderful wares indeed, so you can check it out and contribute indeed. Heck, even start now where you are and add on to it. That's right
Yeah.
indeed. That's right indeed. That's right. Make a brick house, y'all. That's right. That's right. Make a community brick house. That's right. So that's the way when a big bad wolf of negativity comes, it'll be able to stand it. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right indeed. That's right indeed. Because Barry's got the bricks for you.
Thank you for that, Dom. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So using your metaphor, it's not to build a brick house for you, but build a brick house for you and your neighbors with the doors open.
There
When
we
the
go.
wolf comes, you can close the doors up, but in the meantime, have the doors open.
There we go. So, any parting words before we close up shop?
Well, I'd like people to think about their relationship to their community and whether it's a satisfying relationship that they really would want. I've been to a lot of communities, and one of them in particular, I remember being in San Diego, and I was in a conference there. And when I went for a walk from my hotel, and it was in an area where there were, it was a well, not a, I don't know how, I wouldn't say it's a wealthy neighborhood, but it was a prosperous neighborhood. And I went for a walk, and I didn't see a single person. I saw the odd car drive out of its garage and away on the street, but I didn't see a single person out in their yards. I didn't see a single person on the streets. To me, that's a sad neighborhood, right? We need each other. So let's all together start changing our relationship with our neighbors here and build a we neighborhood. That's my message. That's what I would like people to do. The more that we can do that, the more we're going to have a happier life for ourselves and also more so importantly for our kids.
Thanks a bunch for tuning in and setting aside some of your time to listen to this wonderful podcast, Going North. If you really enjoyed what you heard, do me a solid and share this with your network and someone that you care about that would get something out of it too.